What's going on, guys? It's Dan here. Welcome to another episode of the DanQ review. Today we are going to be talking about Far Cry 3. And yes, this is most likely, actually pretty much guaranteed to be the last DanQ review of the year after that huge gong show of games. And I gotta say, we're going to wrap this one up with a bang. A huge AAA title, Far Cry 3. Before we get into it, let's just do my summary real fast. Far Cry 3 is available on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. It is a first-person shooter, open-world action-adventure game. It is developed by Ubisoft Montreal and then published by Ubisoft. Okay, so Far Cry 3. What can we say about it? Well, what can I say about it? Okay, I played Far Cry 1 way back when it came out. I think that came out 02, 03, something like that. And that was a PC only game. Now, I never played Far Cry 2, but I can tell you that the Far Cry games, all three of them, including this obviously, do not follow a specific storyline. They're all completely different. They all have a similar premise, but they're actually completely different. Well, Far Cry 1, for example, takes place on a tropical island. Far Cry 2, where did Far Cry... I don't remember since I didn't play it. But it doesn't take place on a tropical island. It's a completely different setting. And Far Cry 3, once again, takes place on a tropical island. All different characters, all different storylines. Not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, I kind of like that sort of thing. But, I'm just letting you know, if you play this game, you're not missing... And you didn't play any of the first ones, you're not missing anything story-wise with this game. It is not related at all. So just so you know, you can jump into Far Cry 3 and expect... not have to worry about catching up. You're given everything you need in this game since it's its own story. Okay, let's get more into that. Let's talk about the single player for starters. Okay, so this game, I'm just trying to find out what I should start with. There's a lot of content in this game. I'm going to say that right now. In the single player, you have a lot you can do. Let's put that right down right now. There's tons to do in this single player. And what I like the most is that it's keeping you occupied. Usually, you have your main story. You have your main story missions. You have your side missions, which usually are similar. They have a similar concept, but they're different areas, different ideas, that sort of thing. And they're fun nonetheless. And then you have your collections missions, which are also kind of tying with the side content, which are actually very fun as well. Now let me get into more detail about these side missions before we go into the main story. The side missions vary from various things. One of the side missions is basically an assassination mission, where basically what you do, it's called Wanted, or is it Wanted or Most Wanted? I can't remember. But basically what you're given is a target of this enemy tribe. Well, what are they? No, they're pirates. Sorry, the pirates have overrun this island. They're in control of this island. And basically what you do is you have to basically use stealth elements, because the only way you could kill the leader, you go into an area and kill a leader, usually guarded with regular pirates, generic enemies, who you can kill however you want. But there's also like a lot of factors that change this. Like, for example, like I said, the main enemy, the main assassination you have to do is killing the leader, but you can only do so with a knife or a takedown. And a takedown is basically a stealth attack where you basically go up to him and just stab him. And it's like does a special sequence where it does like a stab or whatever the case may be, and then you can drop him off in the bushes. One of those matters, basically you can't just shoot him from a distance. You have to get up close and personal. And the cool thing about those was you could do a lot of things. You could go all stealth, right? No problem. I love doing stealth in this game because you could use the foliage of the island to blend in, so to speak. You can use distractions like throwing a rock to get them to go somewhere else. And one of my favorite parts about this particular side mission was the faction you're with, known as the Rakyat, which basically means civilian. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. Citizen, I believe it means. Basically trying to take over the island once again from these pirates. And your Rakyat followers, since they're at war with them, will come up in a random attack and basically distract them. All the enemies will turn to them, and you can just run up, stab the guy, and run into the jungle. It's so funny, but it's really cool. Another side mission you can do is actually, I'm trying to think of all the side missions. There are also racing. There are races you can do. I never really did too many of those because those are pretty generic, but you can play poker, a lot of, mini games, so to speak. But one of my favorite side missions that I loved doing was the hunting. They call them the Path of the Hunter. Basically, you're given an animal to hunt, and usually what they do is give you a specific weapon to use against it. Now, the cool thing, this whole hunting element, I'm going to put that down. The hunting element in this game is awesome. I think it adds a touch of realism, survival, and the best thing about the hunting is, yes, it gives you your experience, but it also gives you the ability to upgrade your inventory, so to speak. So depending what kind of animal you skin or kill or whatever, you take its hide or its skin, like I said, and you use it to upgrade your capacity. For example, you skin a deer. You kill a deer and you skin it. You get an upgraded weapon holster, so you can carry an extra weapon. Or for example, you kill dingoes and you use that to upgrade the inventory size by increasing your pack. Also, like, you hunt rare basically what happens is there's different inventory items, like your holsters, your grenade mount, your arrow pouches, your ammo capacities, your basically everything you could think of with, like, in terms of ability to hold a certain amount of items or that'll help you increase your, to make the game easier on you by having better abilities and equipment. That basically upgrades your equipment. Using that, each one has at least most of them. I'd say 9 out of 10 of them, 9 times out of 10 of them, you'll have a series of 4 upgrades. A basic, and then a rugged pack, and then blah blah. The final level will actually be to get the max capacity, you'll need to hunt a rare animal in these Path of the Hunter quests. There's tons of them. And I think there's maybe about 10 or 12, I think there's about 10 Path of the Hunter missions that are these rare ones. And what they have is one specific animal that you can't find anywhere else on the island that's generic, you know what I mean? Like, because you'll see, if you look at your map, you'll see these areas that have, okay, there's tigers in this area. There's cassowaries in this area. There's dingoes in this area. There's sharks in this area, you know what I mean? They show you on the map where you want to hunt them. In these particular missions, there's only one, and you have to locate them, and all the time when you hunt them, you have to hunt them with the weapon they give you. And the thing is with that, is usually these things are higher health, and they're not as easy to kill with as their generic counterparts. So for example, let's look at one. I had to hunt a specific type of shark. They called it the man-eater shark. Basically, it was a bull shark, but it was all black skin with a hint of red in it. It was really cool looking. What I had to do was basically, I wasn't given a boat. That was the crazy thing. I wasn't given a boat, and there was like a bay with various upcroppings of sand, you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of shallow but deep ends, basically like a bay, like a pirate's bay kind of thing. And not the pirate website, but anyway. And what I had to do was use my camera, which basically allows you to look around the whole environment and locate what kind of enemies are in the area, whether they be a predator, an herbivore, or your generic enemies, like human pirate enemies, generic guys, heavy guys, snipers, that sort of thing. And I basically had to find all the sharks in the area. Now, it doesn't show you which shark is which. This was probably one of the harder missions you had to do. And it doesn't show you which shark is the special one. It just outlines the shark that's in there. So basically what I had to do was climb up on some rocks and swim to the rocks and basically try and avoid the sharks because they would attack you. And basically use a process of elimination to decipher which shark was the shark I needed. Because I had to kill this shark using a regular bow and arrow. I couldn't use a special arrow like an explosive tip or a flaming tip. I had to use a generic arrow. That made it that much harder because you can't fire a weapon when you're swimming. So you basically, what I did was paid close attention to the color of the sharks, look for anything unique, until I basically saw, okay, that's a generic, kind of a navy colored skin shark, like most sharks are. I shot them with my automatic rifle. Then, since I didn't get a failure, I realized I narrowed it down. I basically pulled my arrow back, shot him a few times, had to reload, lure him over again, till eventually I killed him. And various things like that. It's a challenge, and it was really cool. And once you finished it, you got to upgrade that specific item in your inventory to the maximum. And that was the max upgrade once you applied those rare skins from these animals. And I thought the hunting aspect was a lot of fun, and I thought it was really cool. It made you feel like an actual predator, you know, like a hunter in the wild jungle, hunting these rare animals or generic animals or whatever you needed to upgrade. And they gave you perks. They gave you a reason to hunt. The whole upgrading and the whole experience thing was awesome. You know, the progression of it is great. The hunting was something I really liked. I'm sorry, I had to make a mention of that. Now, there are other things that I did dominantly throughout the game. Now, these side missions, like I said, yes, I did them, but not as many as the following here. What I did, there are a lot of side things that assist you in the game that I enjoyed. I don't know what it was about them, but I enjoyed them. Number one, there was basically, if you've played Assassin's Creed, which I'm sure most of you have, they have things called viewpoints, and basically you climb to a high building to get a layout of the area to see what's in it. It basically shows you all the missions and all the enemies, that sort of thing, in that specific area. They had a similar thing with a radio tower. They had these out-of-commission radio towers that basically, if you powered them up again, it helped your faction, gave you experience, showed all the roadways on this specific area of the island, and allowed you to see what you were doing in that specific area. Like I said, it also gave you the perk of giving you free weapons in the weapons stores. So you didn't have to pay for a certain weapon once you found a certain number of them. Like you find one, oh, this weapon's free now. You find another one, this weapon's free, etc., etc. So I thought that was really awesome that they did that. And a lot of people thought that they were a waste of time. Hell no. Have you tried trekking on a blind map with no roads, no idea where the roads are? And it really helped out. Another side mission that I loved, and I thought it was so awesome because I got better and better as I went, was the outpost missions. And what you had to do was liberate these outposts. And they're little areas that are controlled by the pirates on the island. And in order to keep, basically when that happens, and you're in that territory, there's going to be a lot of enemy pirates in your area trying to kill you. So if you got this, not only did you get an extra fast travel spot, you had to go in and liberate it and kill them however you needed to. You can do it completely stealth or go weapons free and just go nuts on them. And just as long as you kill everybody, you retake that position. Thing is though, they'll have alarms. And if you don't sabotage the alarm, they'll trigger the alarm, and depending what area you're in, you'll get a more severe enemy as you go. Once I got onto the final island, it was these Spec Ops forces. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I accidentally triggered an alarm. And the thing was, I got so good by that point, I would do 100% stealth, or close to being stealth, for the whole thing. Or close to 100% stealth, I should say. And when I slipped, it was due to an unfair thing that happened. But what happened in that circumstance, they actually sent choppers to try and take me out, because I was already a wanted man in this story. So the whole element of capturing the outposts and doing it 1 versus 20 and then eventually 1 versus 30, you know, these crazy amount of forces that come in. It's just awesome feeling, and then liberating it and be like the little guy, just like, you know, power to the people kind of thing. It was really cool. I thought that was really fun. A lot of people may disagree with me. They were watching and saying, wow, what a waste of time. Trust me, you play it and you liberate these outposts, you're going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. So that's the side content. Okay, I'll mention there were collectibles, like finding relics and that sort of thing, but I never really did it, you know what I mean? Like, back to the hunting aspect too. The whole survival element, it made you feel like you were trained to be in the wild if need to. Like when you had to find herbs to construct your syringes, which did various things like a health boost or a weapons boost or a hunting boost, things to give you an edge in hunting and that sort of thing. So the whole survival element, the wilderness element, is really cool. Another thing I'd like to point out is that the environment was one of my favorite aspects of this game. The environment was so cool. The whole tropical island, you know what I mean? You're just on this island and you have this entire thing to work with. And it's like a realistic island. Like, you'll come across animals that are predators. You'll come across these pirates who try to gun you down. And the thing was, the coolest thing I thought, well, the thing is, I like sharks, but they're also spooky to me, you know what I mean? Like, Shark Week is awesome, you know what I mean? So whenever I'd go in the water and I'd see a shark, I'd think, damn, you know, I gotta take that bitch out. So I'd stop my boat or whatever and shoot the shark and go skin it. Because skinning a shark was risky. And why do I say that? Because it's open water. You go in to swim to skin a shark, it's not as easy. You can't fire a weapon. So you're in the shark-infested waters. You better hope there's no other shark around when you're skinning that damn thing, because that I had a couple shark attacks on me in the game. It was so realistic, it was so cool. But that whole thing, like the whole hunting environment thing was really cool, and I keep going back to it, but the whole island, it felt like I was actually there. Like, it didn't seem like I was on this fake island, because yeah, you go to a tropical island, there are animals, there are wildlife, there are things to watch out for, and the fact that this wasn't a completely colonized area, well, it wasn't completely civilized like these main country islands, like let's just say Australia. Australia, yeah, you take away the big cities. Don't get me wrong, I'm not generalizing here. I'm just saying that if you didn't have these big cities on that island, which is Australia, which is massive, by the way, you'd have a lot of dangerous wildlife, and which you still do. You get my point. You know what I'm saying? So that whole thing, it felt kind of, mystic, and you don't know, the unknown and the whole adventure. It just felt legit. It felt real to me, and I thought that was one of the coolest experiences about this environment. I've always been a fan of the tropical setting, and this was awesome. Especially the fact that you can drive too, but we'll get into that in a second. So that's all the side content you can do. Lots of exploring. It's really great. And I don't know how long I've been recording, but a lot of side content, all right? Now let's talk about the main story now, okay? This story was unique. I thought it felt like not out of the ordinary. It felt possible. And a lot of these games step out of the realistic element to give you a kind of far-fetched, would never really happen scenario. But this whole story, you and your friends, your brothers and your friends and your girlfriends or whatever, are out having a vacation on this tropical island, hitting the clubs, doing crazy things like skydiving and water skiing and parasailing and basically trekking, adventuring through this island, only to find out there's pirates on it and you get kidnapped and your friends. It's just a crazy story. So you're basically a guy from Los Angeles, California. A group of guys, and girls I should say, from LA, Americans, thrown into this tribal, this whole, crazy no rules area where there's no police. It's just an island run by pirates. And you're basically taken from that civilization into this completely different one, forced to learn things. Because when you go in, your main character, Jason, is a complete pussy. Like, it's crazy. I don't want to spoil anything of what happens, but he basically, as he gets on, he learns things and learns techniques. He learns his weapon skills. He learns his survival skills that basically turn him from a pussy to a complete badass. And the thing about him is because he escaped and he has these abilities, these escaping abilities, these survival abilities, the tribe, the Rakyat, basically inducts him into their group, where he's given the tattoo, which is basically a tattoo on his arm, which basically generates itself into skills. So when you get new skills and abilities, your tattoo gets bigger and bigger. More elements of the tattoo come into play. And I thought that was kind of cool, because it seems it's a tribalist tattoo, which gets developed as it goes. Now, because I did so much side content with this game, I actually got all the skills. My tattoo was fully decked out. So I could do so many abilities. I could make my weapons were greatly improved, things like that really helped. The whole upgrading, the fact that the side content was so fun and it made you upgrade, I loved that the most, because I felt like, okay, there's something to do, something to strive for to make the game a hell of a lot more fun. All right? That's side content related though, because you dropped into this world as this guy, the realism is huge. I know I'm saying that, but it really is. You have all these vehicles, and you're driving through these off-roaded, no cement, just all these dirt roads of an island. It feels like that's what it should be like, you know what I mean? So I thought that was awesome. And including, moreover on this story, it was phenomenal. I thought it was one of the best stories I've played this year. Just because it feels real, and the transformation, kind of like a sane, freaking out, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Kind of eccentric, Californian, mid-20s guy thrown into this completely new scenario, forced to fight for his family and friends to try and save them. And, you're given, all these things, but at the same time, this Rakyat tribe is trying to make you, out to be a super being. You're taken in, and they want you to do all this crazy stuff, which kind of messes with your head a little bit, especially one female who likes to flash people and, do other sort of sexual things to you, kind of persuades you in a different light. While she means well, and her whole thing is for the greater good, things change, messes with your head and you lose sight of your real goal and you're given choices. I know there's so much content in this game. There's so much good content. The story is amazing. Like I said, it's crazy decisions, crazy things you have to do with the side content that you're given throughout the game that complements it and makes it seem real. Like, I think that's the best part about this game, how real it makes you feel. And you feel like working your character, saving your friends. It's like, because, alright, I'm going to say this, because of the story, you have some amazing villains. Like, let's look at Voss. This, like, crazy pirate guy who's basically grown up with nothing. And he's basically come back and, well, just like most grew up with nothing kind of situations, it messes you up a little bit. So, he becomes a pirate. The voice acting in it is amazing, too. Like, the voices seem legit, too. Like, Voss is an enemy you love to hate, but you hate to love. Does that make sense to you? Because he's an awesome guy. He's an awesome character. His speeches to you are, like, just awesome. I just love the whole character of Voss. You know what I mean? He's, like, one of my favorite characters in the game. Like I said, I hate him at times because of what he does to you and your friends and family, but at the same time, you gotta love him for what he does and his whole element, you know what I mean? His whole aura of what his personality is great. Awesome characters in this game. I love the characters in this game too. So great characters, great storyline, lots of content in this game, especially in the single player. That's what the main thing is. The single player alone, you don't even need the extra multiplayer modes in this. The single player alone, I'd be completely happy with. And I gotta say, one of the best games of this year so far, just because of that single player. So if you want looking for a great single player experience, this is the guy to go with. Trust me, you're gonna love it. The whole atmosphere, the whole environment, the whole situation with the story mode, all the side content you're given, that's really fun to do. Great for that. Let's go into multiplayer and the co-op. Okay, they kind of go hand in hand with how they are. Let's go into multiplayer itself, the versus multiplayer. What I hate the most is that any single player or any first-person shooter nowadays that is, mainstream is compared to Call of Duty. Is this game like Call of Duty? In a way, but just about everything is now, isn't it? Like, they're first-person shooters. It's a genre. Obviously, they're going to be like each other. But this multiplayer isn't the same. I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, while you have a good chunk of game modes, there's just not there. The only problem with these game modes is that there's not many people playing in the other ones. Everyone's in team deathmatch. But here's the thing. This game is fun and it makes you work together. You know what I mean? I had a lot of fun with this multiplayer. The environments were good, like I said. The teamwork is great. And one of my favorite elements about this multiplayer is if you win, okay? Even if you don't win, let's just look at things. If your team's the winner, the top 3 people who scored, like with the most experience gained in that game, will basically get the ability to punish or be merciful to the highest scoring player on the losing team. What's funny is this was one of my favorite parts of the multiplayer, because depending what place you came in, let's just say I got first place on my team for experience. I get to decide what happens to it, and my in-game character gets to do it to this guy, while the other two, the second and third place guys on my team, get to help me out with it. Let's look at the example of punishing. One of my favorite ones was you unlock various punishments. There's one where you just punch him in the face a few times. There's one where you, I think you kick him in the head. There's one where you do like a golf swing with a piece of wood and smack him in the face with it. But one of my favorites was the nut shot. I was striving to get it, I got number 1 a few times, but after I unlocked it, I was finding it was tougher and tougher to do. So I finally get it, I'm like, this better be worth it! So my guy punches him in the face, and then a big uppercut to his nuts. It was just hilariously good fun. And the funny thing about it too is if you do the merciful side, I should say, there's sarcastic mercy. Like, let's take a look at one of them. One of them, basically you offer him a drink because he looks tired. So basically you're like, hey buddy, you want a drink? So buddy hands the bottle to his friend. He takes a piss in it, hands him the bottle. He takes a big swig, just funny things like that. And there's one where you give them a round of applause and they just go, great job. Big sarcastic gap clapping. It was just so awesome. I love that. Although it's not something you can continue to do for a long period of time. I did love the multiplayer. It was a lot of fun, but it's not something you're going to really go back to all that much. You know what I mean? So that's that. Now what do I have to say about the co-op? Alright, it plays very similar to multiplayer. In fact, all your abilities and weapon classes carry over to the the co-op. It is its own campaign. I think I did it in about 3.5 hours. I think it took me 3.5 hours steady through on normal difficulty. Not a bad bit of side content. Only problem with the co-op is it gets repetitive, you know. You're basically, it's not the same as the single player in any regard. You're basically, all you're given is basically sections of levels. I think there's 6 levels total. It does follow a story, but you're basically 4 completely different people who've been working together, and they've been doing jobs. It doesn't really explain how they get it, but they get money, and it's been stolen by this cruise ship captain that was basically like a dirty guy, you know what I mean? He was hiring these guys to do these bad jobs, and they worked hard to get this like dirty money, as I like to say, and he takes it. He runs off and leaves them to dead from the pirates. So basically, you're trying to progress and hunt them down and take the money back. The thing is, though, like there were a few elements I liked. Like let's look at one of them. One of the cool elements was in each chapter, you're basically given a competition between the co-op players. For example, one of them was to see who could do the most snipes, you know, get the most sniper kills, and you're all given a sniper rifle for a brief period of time. Another one when you're on a quad and you have to collect bombs, and the most person to collect the most bombs and most air, basically do the most crap in that area, would get the most points and win an experience boost. And there's also a few other things like grabbing an RPG and using an RPG to blow up boats, lobbing grenades, get as many grenade kills as you can. These are all in various chapters in this co-op. That was one of my favorite. That's probably one of the greatest elements of that co-op. However, like I said about the repetition, you're basically given nothing crazy, but various. Okay, there's usually split up into various areas of each chapter. Like I said, you're given that competition chapter in like the middle of the campaign. But or in the middle of each chapter. But each other portion of the game is one giant group of enemies. And basically what you got to do is kill the enemies, activate something, and basically it's one of those situations where you're given an ability, you got to hold off until this thing finishes doing what it's doing. So you had to get, basically you had to power up a generator. You hit the generator, you got to defend it until that happens. You're given so many of those it gets tiring because the enemies are just infinite. Like how many enemies are hiding in this damn bush on this island, you know what I mean? Like it does get irritating in that sense, and it's repetitive. And you know, by the end of the campaign you're just done with it. And there really is no reason to go back to the co-op, because I noticed that I leveled up to level 22 like 20 times. Like I don't know how many times I said, oh, 22. Yet it would bring it back down to my level 19. But at the end of the game, when I finished the entire campaign, I leveled up to level 20 or 21, I can't remember. And it saved it for that. So I don't know if it glitched out or if it was just you weren't supposed to get experience in that, which doesn't make sense because you were unlocking abilities and things. And the abilities would stay, but your level would not. And a few abilities come with levels, with the level you are, including weapons and that sort of thing. So it was kind of buggy, and I experienced a lot of bugs. Like one guy was just basically falling from the sky and to the floor over and over. And you know, basically one time we were supposed to continue, but one of our players was stuck in a running stance and he couldn't do anything. So we had to shoot him and kill him before we could proceed. It was really messed up. So co-op wasn't that great. It felt like it was kind of the last thing done for the game, and it felt kind of rushed. It was kind of boring, the story mode. I didn't really like the co-op. I mean, I'm sure if you had people you like actually friends with instead of randoms, I'm sure you'd have a little bit more fun. But like I said, you beat each chapter, you get a trophy or achievement or whatever, and that's it. There's no extra compensation. It seems like you're just wasting your time if you wanted to go back for it. I guess you could try on harder difficulties, but even then, like I said, if you just want to get trophies, there's no trophy for playing it on the hardest difficulty. It's just a challenge, which probably would give you more experience, but who knows if it's going to keep because of the glitches. I don't know. So that's what I feel about the co-op. Not the best, a good once through kind of thing, a nice little tacked on thing. But let's look at this as a whole, the game as a whole. This is in addition to one of the best single players I've ever played so far this year. That's additional content that you didn't need to add to make this game good. So really, I don't really hold these multiplayer and co-op modes into my review. Like, I mean, I do, but they're extra. I look at them as extra because the single player was so much fun. One of the games I was like, this was similar to L.A. Noire. I love that game so much. I was dying to play it when I got home from work because I had to, do work. Most of the time, like, okay, I'm really tired from work and I gotta play this game. This one I was like, hurry up so my shift can end so I can go play some more of this game. Amazing title, one of the best single player experiences I've had. And while some of you may have thought that the side content that I did was boring and they thought it was a waste of time, play it. You'll change your mind. It's different if you're watching. I can understand if you're watching. But especially the hunting thing, like being a hunter, trying to kill a rare predator like a golden lion or a black panther or a man-eating shark kind of thing. You know what I mean? It was so awesome. I loved it. Amazing story. Pretty good multiplayer. Not so good co-op, but like I said, let's not include that in there. Great experience. So therefore, I'm going to give Far Cry 3 a 9 out of 10. A really amazing game this year. Game of the Year contender in my book. I had a lot of fun playing it. I do recommend you guys get this game. It is a must-have title. Not a rent. Buy it. You'll love it. You'll have a lot of fun. Because even if you're done, even if you're done playing the single player, I think I did 15 to 17 hours of gameplay, and I didn't even do all the side content. That was just like the hunting missions, the main story, the outposts, and getting antennas. That's what I did. And I didn't do any collection. I did barely any collections and other side content, like the races. I barely did any of that. So thinking how much you could have in this game, I heard it can be like up to 30 hours, which is nuts, which is great. And you have that multiplayer to do if you want to try something else. So 9 out of 10 for Far Cry 3. One of the best games of the year in my book. I had a lot of fun with it. So thanks guys for watching this edition of the DanQ review. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you helps you make a decision about what to get for Christmas last minute, you know what I mean? I do recommend this title for sure. So thanks guys for watching this edition. We'll see you next time, probably next year for the next review, because I don't think there's any new titles coming out that I can review this year anymore. So probably seeing you next year for reviews. More content coming this year to wrap it up. Year-end videos coming very soon. I'll make a video to post very soon about the fan-voted favorites. But until then, thanks for watching guys. We'll see you then. Have a good one.